There are growing safety concerns and security questions following Friday's deadly tragedy at the Astroworld Music Festival. At least 8 people were killed and dozens of others were injured as the massive crowd surged toward the stage in Houston. And now Travis Scott, Drake, and Live Nation are all facing lawsuits following the disaster. Lilia Luciano is in Houston with the latest on the tragedy. Lilia, good morning. I tell you, Lilia, it's a terrible story, but the way you sort of laid out the timeline there, just as I was listening to your story, I kept on thinking, oh my gosh, if someone had intervened 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, the difference that could have made. And we know that 8 people died, but several people were taken to the hospital. Do we have any update on the people who were hospitalized?
Well, the last report we heard from police were that several people, around 5 people, were in critical condition. About 15 people, the last report that I read, were still at the hospital. But hundreds were injured. I mean, the first reports were that more than 300 people had to be treated for some kind of injury. I met so many people here yesterday who came to pay tribute to honor the victims, and all said that they had been there. Almost every person I talked to said, I came because I was there. I know what it was like. And some of them even felt that they weren't going to make it out alive.
Okay, so then when something like this, of this magnitude, happens, what is the nature of the police investigation? I don't even really know exactly what they would be investigating because, the people who are involved in the surge are also the victims of the surge. What is the latest on the police investigation into the incident?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Travis Scott has pled guilty to charges having to do with inciting something like a riot. So they're looking at, what could have been done from the promoters, from the artists to stop it. I know that he stopped at least once at one point, but we've seen very dramatic videos of this woman who jumped on stage to try to get the attention of a camera operator and say, hey, can you please stop this? We've seen many videos of people and have heard from people who were saying we were trying to stop it. And you're right. I mean, it's a crowd of people. Police are looking at videos. They're talking to witnesses. Some people told me, look, I was trying to hold a crowd so that they wouldn't fall on the people who were on the floor unconscious. But there were still people jumping up and down. There was, some people said this wasn't even a mosh pit. It was just like a lot of people were completely either unaware or completely reckless about what was happening around them. I talked to 2 kids a couple of days ago, teenagers, who were explaining and showing me the bruises about how some people were stepping on their feet and pushing them. It was just complete mayhem. And of course, there were people who were out of breath and said that, they thought that they were going to lose it, as I mentioned before. So they're looking at, what was done in comparison to last time. We know from police that they brought reinforcements. There were more than an additional 100 police officers, more security, more barricades. But earlier in the day, we saw videos of people breaking through barricades, toppling each other. So, I mean, there are many different times, including while Travis Scott was on stage, where somebody could have said, hey, enough, let's take, I understand the concern, and people say, well, it could have been the chief of police rather said it could have been a riot, but you can stop the event, say we're not going to continue until, these people are treated. We saw this ambulance completely stop, trying to move slowly through the crowd. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, sort of one of the things that I was trying to kind of understand is this idea of a crowd surge. Okay, so I get it. There are, a ton of people at the concert. I couldn't really tell whether all those people had actually had seats or if the ground level was just sort of a standing room only situation. But that level of crowd is not something surprising for a concert. When Travis Scott got to the stage, they had already been other performers, so I presume that people would have been up and dancing and moving around. So I guess I'm trying to kind of figure out exactly what the crowd surge, what that means in this situation.
The way it's been described to me and the way that from the videos that we've seen is, look, the concert was full. probably above capacity or at capacity of 50,000. Authorities say the actual, crowd limit at this arena was, or at this park was 200,000. So it wasn't completely full. They set the bar at 50,000. It was packed. Maybe some people were breaking in, but it wasn't as much about the quantity of people there, but the way that people just moved forward to try to get close to stage. We know that in the past, Travis Scott has been known to tell people, just overpass or overpower security. I mean, there's this kind of mentality among his fans that everything goes, and that, and people rush towards a stage to get close. What witnesses told me, what people were there told me, was that the moment his show started and there was a counter, people had already started passing out. There were people unconscious even before he got on stage. But that the moment he started, imagine this massive energy from 50,000 people just crushing each other to get closer to the stage. That's how this crowd surge has been described.
Wow, Lilia, I mean, it's giving me chills, not in a good way, obviously. Lilia Luciano, thank you very much.